Hi Siri, I'm looking for a new podcast, one that preferably is hosted by a UF Hall of Famer, one that airs every weekday that would bring me everything I need to know about the Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions. Siri, is there such a show?
Have you heard of PodUp with Matthews in the morning on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or any podcast platform?
Oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that? UF Hall of Famer Shane Matthews has a show every weekday. I'm gonna go check it out tomorrow. Thanks, Siri.
Good morning. Welcome to a Wednesday, a hump day edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It's Wednesday. We'll have JC here momentarily on the Titan More Hotline. And we'll have Kevin Brockway from the Gainesville Sun come from live from Nashville, Tennessee. Today at the SEC Media Days, you'll have Alabama, Arkansas, the Gators, and the Kentucky Wildcats. JC, are you there?
I'm here, QB.
It's perfectly illegal for you to walk away from everybody talking so nobody else can hear them. When you're on remote, that's what you do. You got to get away from all the idiots.
Hey, you want to say hi to the former teaching pro at the University of Florida, Paul Fricks?
Hey, Matthew, you're over 50. You should be playing in this.
Yeah, you hear that?
Yes. Well,
he said you're over 50. Why aren't you playing in this? I need a glove, Paul.
I have other things to do than play a 5,500-yard golf course.
He's got other things to do, but anyway, yeah, I'm down here. It's a beautiful day at Juliet Falls, and suburban Marion County, beautiful place. And we're playing in the Gator. They call it the Gator Seniors Tour, and once a month, this group of guys plays an area golf course. And today it's Juliet Falls, so that's what we're doing today. I got to go hit some balls, and we just want to join you. You talked about the SEC Media Day today. Florida's going to be there. Alabama's going to be there. Big day. So I don't know, QB. I tell you, I'm out of breath walking from the parking lot. I'll tell you that. But anyway,
you need to get in shape, JC.
Well, how about this? Florida's recruiting is getting in shape. You see who this wide receiver.
Yep.
A 4-star wide receiver last night decommitted from Florida State and commits to Florida. His name is TJ Abrams, Hawaski TJ Abrams, and he flipped his commitment from FSU to Florida just last night.
Yeah, I think the Gators in one publication jumped back to number 2 in America in recruiting for 2024. So, and they're supposed to have another couple of guys, I think, later this week, highly recruited guys commit. So we'll see. Today in Nashville, you'll have Kingsley Aguaquin, Ricky Pearsall, and Jason Marshall Jr. representing the Gators there at Media Day. JC, did you watch any or get any clips of Media Day yesterday? Anything stand out?
I did not. I have to be honest. It doesn't interest me really because it's all just PR for the upcoming season, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I don't expect to hear anything interesting other than the standard, we're going to do this, we're going to try to do that, we're looking forward to this, and we're looking forward to that. Now, it was Kirby Smart talking about, some of the issues off the field at Georgia. And really, what can a coach do? If a kid gets in a car and goes hot rodding, what's the coach supposed to do about that? And I was just thinking about Kirby. It's like, okay, you got to babysit these guys 100% of the time, or do you have to babysit them 99% of the time? You can't really control everything they do. So I did sympathize with him, on this situation that tragically happened with these young men, Jordan Davis, or not Jordan Davis, but who was it? Jordan Davis? Who was it that got into
I don't keep
car
up
issue?
With those guys.
That's the thing. I don't keep up with it either. That's why there's nothing interesting to me when it comes to these media days, other than we're just looking forward to season. Great, we really think we're going to have a good year. Okay, I mean I could write the script for every coach. I mean, what's different? There's not much different. It's the anticipation of the season. And it kicks off the early stages of the preseason. And that's a good thing because we've been waiting for all summer. So I'm ready to get going in August, and we're not that far from it.
We got Facebook Live brought to you by Mel Law. I want you to chime in on this, JC. This
Sure.
is from David. He says, as a former professor of a Big 12 school, Texas will be a 900-pound gorilla in all the SEC rooms. It's horrifying. They have all the money. That is true, but I believe A&M has more money than them. But they both have a lot of money.
Oh, well, of course, but that doesn't mean you're winning anything. I mean,
Right.
TCU is a very small school. They have money also, but not at the same scale as an A&M. Where was TCU last year and where was A&M last year? I mean, we all know this, right? Money is important. It is. Donors are great. NIL, has changed the landscape of how you attract kids potentially to your team, but as well as the transfer portal. We know this. I mean, that's just the way it is. But it doesn't mean that the 11 kids you put out there on offense and defense on any given Saturday are going to do any better than the other 11. So that's just the way I look at it. But it does give you advantages. There's no doubt.
We have a text on the Titan MR text line from Robert. Robert says, when is JC releasing his power pole from the I-10 corridor?
Yeah, I got to do the I-10 power pole. I was thinking about that the other day on that beautiful drive from Goshen, Mississippi. And I will have the power pole out Friday. I appreciate you asking. Really do.
Okay, we got a few more texts here, then we're going to let you go, JC. So you got to get loose for this massive tournament against the super seniors. The Titan MR text line, Chris from Cottondale says, I just listened to last Friday's episode, so JC sees Will Greer and Graham Mertz. Damn, I hope he's right, but probably not. I do think Mertz will be at least solid for the Gators, maybe more. Then he says, I heard JC call Mizzou this year's TCU. He should be banned from the show for life and give him a urine test to see what kind of drugs he has in his system.
What? Wait a minute. What did I say about TCU?
You said Missouri was going to be this year's TCU.
Oh. Well, what I said was that in the East, give me an example of a team like TCU that can surprise people. Well, I don't think it's Tennessee. They're not surprising anybody. I don't know. It could be Kentucky, but I don't like it.
They're not going to be very good.
Okay, and then there's Florida, and then Missouri. I mean, who else is there? I'm not going to talk about Vanderbilt. I don't even like talking about Vanderbilt, and so there's no one else. So I think Missouri's a team. Remember, Chris, that Missouri had Georgia by the at the end of the game. The only team that played Georgia tough last year was Missouri. They played them better than LSU. They played them better than anybody.
Do you know why they played them tough? Because they had a scoop and score from about 50 yards out, and then they had a bunch of turnovers. That's the only reason. I mean, again, what they did against Georgia means absolutely – because what they did against Georgia means absolutely nothing this year. Nothing.
No, I'm giving you an example of why I think Missouri can surprise you. They have players.
Well, you just
that
said
I think
because they played Georgia tough. You said
that was one reason. The other reason why is because I think that quarterback Cook could have a good year. I mean, I got to make predictions, right? So what should you do? Let's just say Georgia's going to win all their games. Let's make that prediction. How much money do I get paid for saying something like that? Okay, that's great.
Well,
who's going to win the West? Oh, well, it's going to be LSU or Alabama. That's tough. Okay, great. Okay, what value am I adding here? I just think Missouri's a team that could potentially be somebody that could surprise you. Now, look, they were 6-7 last year, something like that, but they could have easily won 8 games. They gave away 2 football games by the oddest of circumstances. We know this. We saw it happen. They could have won 8 games easily.
Well, I agree, but I'm playing devil's advocate here. Florida goes 6-7. They could have easily won 8 games last year.
Well, I mean, if Florida's only worried about winning 8 games, sure. I mean, South Carolina won 8 games.
I mean, I'm just saying, if you're going to sit here and tell me Missouri could have done this, could have done that, well, hell, Florida could have done this, could have done that. If the ball bounced this way, we don't throw pick 6 here. We beat Kentucky, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
I mean, you can nitpick every damn game. Then you can go back and you say, well, the team that won 10 games should have probably only won 6 because they got lucky here. They got lucky there. Your record is what you are.
Yeah, true. But listen, QB, you know this as well as I do. there's a thin line after the Georgia Bulldogs in the Eastern Division. Everybody is very equal. So I got to come up with somebody, right? I got to say something.
Well, nobody. But what I'm saying is, you threw out Missouri as TCU. You didn't say of the East. That's where Chris is coming from. You talked about them.
Well, I think he missed
people in the country.
in the country. Well, okay, give me a team then, QB. I thought I was speaking about the East. Go back and see the tape though. But I listen. If you want to talk about the whole country, I'd have to bring in other conferences. But I was just focusing on the SEC and the SEC East. But give me till Friday. I'll come out with the I-10 power picks. How about that? And then I'll give you the this year's TCU on a nationwide scale. I'll look at it outside of the SEC, which I don't know why I do that, but I will.
Chris just texted on the Titan MR text line saying Missouri played Georgia tough and lost to Florida and many other teams. Just say no one will be this year's TCU instead of saying Missouri can be. So anyway, Chris is on your tail today, JC. All right, real quick, let's get to the Peachland Dental. Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. It's time for Peachland Dental British Open pitch. JC, by the way, there's no way you're going to start at 8:30 on this golf tournament. Have you ever started in a scramble or whatever on time? Never.
Well, these old dudes are sticklers for scheduling. You know that. They don't want to play in the heat. All right, so in the Open, I said it for a month now since the U.S. Open. And I said it, and I believe Rory is going to win this tournament, and I'm sticking with it. He is going to win this tournament. He's going to go back-to-back weeks over the United States.
He's your first pick. I will take John Rahm as my first pick.
Okay. All right. John Rahm, you took one of my guys. That's not allowed. Let's see here. Okay. Then I'm going to go with Scott Scheffler.
All right. You'll take Scotty Scheffler. I will take Cam Smith, the defending champ.
Yes, he is. Give me Adam Scott as my third pick.
All right, Adam Scott. I will take Tommy Fleetwood.
Okay. Give me Ricky Fowler, who was the runner-up in 2014, if I'm not mistaken, to Rory, the last time they played at the Royal Liverpool Club at Hoy Lake. Ricky Fowler.
All right. And I'm going to take Victor Hovland as my last pick.
So we only doing 4? Okay, there you go.
Well, we can do 5 if you want. I don't care. You think I care?
Okay, well then I want an Englishman. Give me I want Matthew Fitzpatrick, please.
All right, you're going to take Fitzy. You know what? I'm going to go with, why not? I'll take Ju Young Kim. He played good last week.
I'm surprised you didn't take Justin Rose. Unbelievable. Okay, there you go. Winners.
All right, so JC has Rory, Scotty, Adam Scott, Ricky Fowler, and Matt Fitzpatrick. I have John Rahm, Tommy Fleetwood, Cam Smith, Victor Hovland, and Ju Young Kim, who goes by Tom Kim somehow. All right, JC, I have a trivia question for you regarding the British Open.
Fire away.
Can you name the SEC golfers that have won the British Open?
Mark Calcavecchia.
Yep.
Mark Calcavecchia and, if you gave me a few minutes, I would think of the other one, but that's the only one that comes to mind.
Well, there's really only one. Mark Calcavecchia, the former Gator, won it.
No, I got
John Daly actually won. John Daly won it as an Arkansas. You know, he played at Arkansas, but when he won it, they were in the Southwest Conference. So Mark Calcavecchia is the only Southeastern Conference golfer to win the British Open. How about that trivia?
I got it right. You got it right.
You did get it right.
There you go. I'll ask that today. I'll ask that today down here in Marion County. I'll see how many people get that.
All right, JC. Have a good day. Hit them straight. Hang on. Let me make sure there's no other text here for you before we let you go. John says it was Jalen Carter, the offensive lineman.
Jalen Carter,
from Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, JC, what is your number you're going to shoot today from 5,500 yards?
What's the over-under? 5,900 yards, I'm going to shoot 78.
78? Okay. Well, you can land 747 aircraft carriers on those fairways there.
Okay. All right, QB. We'll see you Friday.
All right. That's JC. That's JC joining us on the Titan number hotline. He'll go shoot about 85 today, probably. It'll be my guess. Let's see. Dan says here on Facebook Live, they grew up McElwain his first year about player behavior more than they asked Kirby, but plus Kirby's been there for years. Yeah, I mean, look, Georgia, it looks like they're going through a lot of the issues Florida went through. I know that documentary's coming out. What's it called? Swamp Kings on Netflix or what have you. Gene says on Facebook Live, can I get action on JC shooting over 78? I'm with you, Gene. I think it's a heavy dose of money rolling in on the over 78. Tony thinks JC's going to shoot 93. It's hard to shoot 93 on this golf course, Tony, from the yardage he's playing at like 5,800 yards, because you literally can land multiple airplanes at the same time on these fairways. So anyway, this day in sports, which is brought to you by our good friends at Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. This day in sports, dadgummit, where did it go? Well, we'll read this one right here then. It went away. In 2021, the British Open. Nope, it just came back. Nope. What is going on with my phone? Here we go. British Open, Royal St. George's Golf Club. American Colin Morikawa becomes the first male in history to win his debut at two separate major events. The 2020 PGA Championship, where he beat Jordan Spieth by 2 strokes. That's this day in sports, brought to you by our good friends at Campus USA Credit Union. We'll have Kevin Brockway from the Gainesville Sun join us live from Nashville, Tennessee. He's there for SEC Media Days. What would you guys want to know or want to hear? Well, look, I mean, all these coaches give their State of the Union address on their ball clubs. It's the same coach speak. But what would y'all want to know or ask Coach Napier if you were a reporter sitting in the Hyatt Regency or wherever they are? What would y'all ask? You know, he's going to get a lot of questions about the quarterback. But, boy, they're doing a really good job. If you missed it, Gators flip wide receiver commit to the semis, a 4-star, and they just keep loading up with them, man. They're doing a phenomenal job. Just think if we win some games, what's going to happen when it comes to recruiting. It could get ugly for people around the country. Tony says they can park an aircraft carrier sideways on those fairways. Yes, they could. There's no question. They're huge. Huge. Let's do this. Let's take a quick time out, and then we're going to be joined by Kevin Brockway from the Gainesville Sun. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peaceland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Campus USA Credit Union. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Dave & Buster's, eat, drink, play, and watch. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Doreen Wibby, Realtor Caldwell Banker, M.M. Parish. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Aver and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Q Billiards and Sports Bar. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Hi there, this is head ball coach Steve Spurrier, and I'm here with my wife Jerry and our good friend Sherry Houston, the executive director of the Ronald McDonald House Charities of North Central Florida. We're thrilled to announce that the 2-year anniversary of our restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, is coming up on August 14th. Last year we had so much fun celebrating with everybody that we're doing it bigger and better this year. We're hosting a special dinner and celebration that will include a chef's choice of premium buffet or your favorite Spurrier Gridiron Grill menu, including a filet mignon carving station, shrimp and grits, short rib risotto, wonderful seafood options, and many dessert options also.
Like my famous chocolate chip cookies.
Proceeds being donated to the local Ronald McDonald House.
Thrilled to once again partner with Coach Jerry and the Spurrier Gridiron team to raise funds for the Ronald McDonald House, benefiting families and children experiencing medical emergencies.
Spurrier's Gridiron Grill will be donating 11% of all of our money from food and 66% of drink sales to the Ronald McDonald House.
Go to spurriers.com right now and reserve a ticket before they sell out.
We'll have wonderful food, special guests, and a limited edition of the second year anniversary collector's coins, as well as prizes like a dinner with me and Jerry. We couldn't have become one of the busiest and most successful restaurants in the Southeast without your support. So we want to celebrate with the most important people of our team, and that's you.
I want to celebrate with some of those cookies. Do you have any of those?
Sure do. Right here for you.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration points where the Gators go to celebrate. Premium brands like Regal Cinemas, Prime and Pearl, Dave & Buster's, Nike, Skechers, F45, and the HBC's restaurant. Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, the #1 celebrity polished casual restaurant in America, the hottest restaurant in Florida in the heart of Gator Nation. That's Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We're waiting on Kevin Brockway from the Gainesville Sun. He must have had a late night out on Broadway, but he'll be joining us here momentarily. I got some Facebook Lives here brought to you by Melton Law. Adam says Spurrier got a good zinger in on Kirby. Yeah, he said something along the lines, the picture they took together probably at one of the golf tournaments up at Reynolds Plantation up in outside of Atlanta. It was something along the lines. Coach said when he wins 11 out of 12, something, whatever. But look, Kirby's got 2 national titles, going for 3. You cannot argue what Kirby Smart has done for the Georgia Bulldogs. It's crazy how good they have become. John and Dan were talking about on Facebook Live, will the HBC be involved with the stadium upgrades? I'm sure he won't be on like a committee or anything like that. They'll just probably ask his opinion on some stuff. He don't care about any of that stuff, quite honestly. They're just gonna have a committee. Andy asked, Shane, seems like we are overloaded with wide receivers. Can we play 5 of those guys together? Oh gosh, how many do we have in that signing class? I know we just signed a bunch, but it's like the old days, quite honestly. You want to just be stacking 3 or 4 each class, get them coming in here competing. There's plenty of time to play them, and some of them probably could leave early as well and go pro. Dan says the NCAA removed the extra scholarship limits for transfers in COVID. With this great class coming in, how do you keep the players under 85 players? They'll cut some guys. Those days of taking a guy's scholarship away was not a good idea. It happens all the time nowadays because the game has changed. But remember, just because you're on scholarship does not mean you're guaranteed to stay on scholarship. Those are renewed yearly. So plus with the transfer portal and the exit meetings, coach can sit down with a player and say, hey, we got this guy, and that guy ahead of you. We like them better. They fit our system. We'll help you try to find another place to get. It's a way they can cut guys. So that's probably what will happen, Dan. Just my thoughts on that. Reggie says we signed 4 in 2023 and signed 3 this year. Perfect. I mean, if you go back to the heydays of Florida, in the 90s and then wherever was there, they were bringing in 3 or 4 or 5 wide receivers in every class. And so let's do this right now. Our good friend Kevin Brockway, the Gainesville Sun. Zach, can you go ahead and patch him in on the Titan MR hotline, sir? All right, we're going to go ahead. Kevin must not have had a late night. He's up early there because Nashville's on Central Time. Kevin Brockway, can you hear us? You're on the Titan MR hotline. He's coming in. Kevin, you there, my man? Kevin, can you hear us? All right. In the meantime, Gina sends a text on the Titanamar hotline from Atlanta, Georgia, and says, "Do you watch baseball? Did you ever play baseball?" Gina, yes, I watch baseball very little right now. I watch the playoffs. Yes, I played shortstop my entire career until I came to Florida and then shut baseball down. Okay, so Kevin can't hear. Let me text him and tell him he needs to I'm here, folks. I'm just texting and talking at the same time. It's hard to do. All right, so we got Kevin on the line. We're just trying to patch him in. In the meantime, I will keep reading some of these texts on the Titanamar text line. Sarah says, "Dane, I saw you on another podcast, and you were saying Mertz might be pretty good. What other Gator QB is he comparable to?" Oh, I don't know. I'm not big in comparisons. I just think he's a big kid. He's 6'3", about 220, 215, 220, runs really well, accurate, has a good arm, extremely intelligent football-wise. I think he's going to have a heck of a year. A heck of a year. I really do. John has a text on the Titanamar text line. Saw you tweet about Desmond Watson being in better shape. He does look like he lost a lot of weight, but maybe gained some muscle. What's his ceiling as a junior? Well, I didn't tweet. I have people that do the tweeting for me on the PodUp page. Yeah, Des can play a few plays here and there. And all right, so Brockway logged out, hasn't logged back in. We're having some technical difficulties up in Music City. Des is a guy that can play a handful of plays. But if he's out on the field too much, it's not good for the Gators. Terry on the Titanamar text line. When does Napier talk at the SEC Media Days? Will he have anything funny or interesting to say? He's not the funniest guy. He's pretty serious. He's, I think, at 2 o'clock Central Standard Time, or maybe that's Eastern Time. Alabama's going first today, then Arkansas, then the Gators, then Kentucky. So let's see if we can get Kevin Brockway. Who's logging back in. Sorry about this, folks, but maybe we should just take a quick time out and get it all organized. What do you think, Zach? Should we just wait? Okay. All right, let's take another quick break. Sorry about this, folks, but we got to get Kevin is trying to log in. We're going to come right back and we'll have Kevin Brockway.
We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peaceland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte.
Campus USA Credit Union.
QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Dave & Buster's, eat, drink, play, and watch. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Doreen Wibby, Realtor Caldwell Banker, MM Parish. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Aver & Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Q Billiards and Sports Bar. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Pro football legend Emmitt Smith understands your joint pain.
It does not surprise me that there are a ton of people out there that's in pain.
That's why Emmitt is such a proponent of QC Kinetics, offering real lasting joint pain relief with non-surgical, all-natural biologic treatments.
Whether it's a joint pain, ankle pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, hip pain, any kind of pain, the body eventually will break down when it's under that much stress.
That stress can cloud your judgment to the point that you'll just say yes to the scalpel or yes to another prescription selection of pain pills. But maybe it's time for a second opinion from QC Kinetics.
The reason why I would recommend this is because the natural biologics that QC Kinetics is providing you gives your body a chance to naturally heal itself.
Restorative regenerative solutions are here. Get lasting relief and live your life.
Call QC Kinetics 352-400-4550. That's 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics 352-400-4550.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Ruse Ogre State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit OgreInsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. We got our man, Kevin Brockway, all hooked up on the Titan Tomorrow hotline. Good morning, Kevin. How you doing, buddy?
Good morning. I'm doing well, Shane. It was a interesting first day, and good to be in Nashville. And a lot of construction in front of the hotel. A little inconvenient to get there, but once you get there, it's a nice setup and a lot of good information.
Well, before we get into SEC Media Days, I got to ask you, the world knows that Kevin Brockway is a great karaoke singer. Did you hit Broadway last night and sing any country songs?
You know, I was a little wiped out from the flight. So last night, and I knew that today I had to be, obviously fresh for Napier. So I was very well behaved last night. I was back in my hotel by 9 o'clock. I did go down and had some chicken at Hattie B's. They have a new Hattie B's downtown, like right across from Bridgestone Arena. So I did that for dinner quickly, walked around a little bit by the Country Music Hall of Fame, but went back early. But tonight will be the night, after work, I'll kind of let it loose because I'm here until my flight goes back on Thursday evening.
All right, very cool. Well, this is the first time they've ever had SEC Media Days in Nashville, Tennessee, so we'll have to get your thoughts next week or so, what you thought about it. But going into today, obviously Alabama goes first, Arkansas, then Billy will hit the podium. Let me ask you this. Kind of give us a rundown, because, I think people now can kind of see what you media boys go through because it's on TV. But do y'all just have that one big room that you have an assigned seat that you go sit at?
It's not an assigned seat. It's just kind of like a row of seats, and you just find a place. And, you have a moderator up on the, obviously, near the podium, next to the coach. And then you just have to kind of flag down someone if you want to ask a question. And there are about 3 or 4 interns scurrying around to different people. Bob Holt from the Arkansas Democrat Gazette always seems to get a question in. But it's interesting because of just the mass of people and, so many people that they credential. And it was fun yesterday. This is my first year being back in the SEC, just seeing a lot of the old guys and so forth. And, I saw Feinbaum a little bit, talked to him and chatted with a lot of, the guys around the SEC, telling them my stories about my 3 years in the Big Ten and how it's, let's put it this way, it's nice to be back in the SEC.
Yeah. Okay, I got a bunch of questions here for you. Give us a comparison how an SEC Media Day, what it's like compared to the Big Ten.
The Big Ten held it in a stadium. They held it at Lucas Oil, and it was kind of spread out. And they did have their coaches on the podium, and then they had their players in different places. And the Big Ten had a decent media throng, but not like the SEC. I mean, the SEC is just bigger, huger, and I would say that the SEC is probably a little more organized than the Big Ten. But I didn't think it was a terrible setup for Big Ten Media Days. I mean, I thought it was okay in terms of it being spread out, but the number of reporters is just not in comparison to what the SEC is.
Well, it just means more, Kevin. It just means more. Right. Hey, all right. So let me ask you: are you going to ask a question to Billy Napier today, or if you don't have time, because I know they're on a time constraint there as well? What question, if you had a question to ask him, what's your number one question to ask Billy Napier?
Well, I mean, who's the starting quarterback, right? I mean, that would be an obvious one. He's probably not going to answer it. Also, maybe how do you feel?
Do you want me to answer that for you?
Yeah. Well, is it going to be Graham Mertz, you think?
Yes, it's going to be Graham Mertz.
Okay. Well, also, maybe how you feel about coming into under the radar a little bit. The fact that most of the projections, you look around, have you guys, anywhere, sometime between 4 and 7 in the SEC East in the last year of the SEC East. And I mean, is that something that could be, maybe even a little bit of a chip on your shoulder? How do you handle it? How do you handle, this kind of an off season? I think that's kind of something that's interesting as well.
Yeah, having a chip, they're going to have a chip on their shoulder for sure. Let me ask you this, because you covered the Gators for a long time, and this is probably a better question for a Buddy and Martin or a Mike Bianchi or somebody that's really been covering them for a long, long time. They went to the East West, the divisions in '92, and all the SEC media guys do their predictions. I'm trying to think, even before the divisions, when were the Gators picked this low? Can you even think of a time? Was it been like in the early 80s, 70s, somewhere around there?
Yeah, no, well, I mean, I think the division started in '92, right? So, are you saying pre that, even like them being like maybe?
Yeah, 19, I'm just saying, I'm just saying when there was only like 10 or 12 teams in the SEC in the late '80s or early '80s or whatever. Did they, at SEC media days? Because Florida they had some decent teams, but they still weren't at the top. I mean, were they like picked 5th, 6th? It's amazing to me that there was some dude on this that somebody, maybe it was JC or somebody telling me, or maybe it was Buddy Martin, I don't know, that some guy who does an SEC podcast has the Gators pick 6th in the East. I'm willing to bet the guy anything he wants that they won't be 6th in the East.
Yeah, what are they going to finish behind Missouri and Vanderbilt? I don't think so. I mean, I would think, maybe 5th would be the worst. But the ceiling could be 2nd or 3rd, Shane. I think the whole season hinges on Tennessee. I think that's a huge game. I mean, regardless of what happens at Utah, I think that if football is a momentum sport, and if you win that Tennessee game at the Swamp, then you start to have a little bit of belief, a little bit of confidence, and that can go a long way in having a successful season.
Yeah, there's no question. I do have them beating Tennessee. I think Tennessee's taking a big step back this year. We got a question here on the Titan MR text line. Let me pull it up. It was for you, and I was saving it. Let me try to find it. Well, there's so many on here. I can't find the one that they were asking you, so I'll keep looking. But Kevin, my question to you also, I mean, obviously you said you're interested in the starting quarterback. I firmly believe it'll be Graham Mertz. But what's interesting to me, and I've not sat down and talked football, but just met him. Austin Armstrong is an interesting guy to me. He's very young, energetic, has that Southern twang. He just reminds me so much of Kirby when he talks. The guy's only like, 27, 28 years old. I expect the defense to be so much more improved this year. But what are you looking for, or what would you ask Austin Armstrong if he was sitting up there at the podium today?
Yeah, how do you continue to get heat on the quarterback? Because I think this is a defense that, as you know, Shane, didn't get enough pressure for whatever reason. I know that, your talking point last year was that you felt like the front seven was deficient. And it's interesting that, Jervon Dexter goes in the 2nd round, but if you look at the production, I mean, the production really wasn't there to warrant that. And, Ventrell Miller played through a broken foot. He goes in the 4th round of the draft to the Jaguars. But really the depth in the front seven was not there at all. And, Jalen Lee was a little undersized right at his tackle starting the year. And then, you go to Des Watson, who's, a fun story, but he's also 400 pounds. And, teams are running up the gut on, quarterback draws and so forth and everything. So, I just wonder, I do think, you look at a guy like TJ Searcy and what he did in the spring game. You look at the edge rushers. You think Princely could be poised for a big year this year. 9.5 tackles for loss. He really came on in the second half of the season. Can that front seven really create some havoc? I think that's going to be one of the keys because, as you know, it's a line of scrimmage league, and you really got to affect the quarterback in this league because if you don't, then, teams are just going to chip away at you.
All right. Well, I found the text. It's from Benjamin in New Orleans. He says,
Okay.
Kevin, besides the quarterback, what player or position group do you think needs to play well this year for the Gators to have success?
Yeah, I think I just hit on it. I think the front seven, defensive line. I mean, you just need
Agree.
you need more pressure on. You need to affect the game more. You need more playmakers there, guys that are going to do things that are going to affect the game. You just can't let the quarterbacks sit there and pick you apart. I think the other fascinating too about the defense, Shane, is Corey Raymond taking reins of the whole secondary, and I think you're going to see the secondary play a little different as a result because we saw under Patrick Toney they gave a lot of cushion, and maybe because of the fact that Rashad Torrance and Trey Dean both ran 4.7 at the combine, they needed it. And Miguel Mitchell, certainly a more athletic guy back there, and we'll see what Moten can bring, whether that's at the star or the safety position. The kid from Michigan, I know they're really high on the transfer they got in the spring, but the fact that maybe you can play a little more aggressive and affect routes in the line of scrimmage too. Play a little more bump and run or so forth. We'll see what Corey Raymond can do with him having full reign in the secondary.
This is from Jack on the Titan Amar text line. He says, Kevin, will you be part of the voting from the media today, and who do you have winning the SEC West?
Yeah, I will be part of the voting, and SEC West is tough. I'm still vacillating between Alabama and LSU. LSU had a heck of a transfer class. I mean, if you look at it, and you just got to wonder about Alabama's quarterback situation. What kind of impact is Tommy Rees going to make at Alabama? I think that's fascinating. But, you still have the dean there. You still have Nick Saban there, and you can't count him out. So I would have to say one of those two teams. I'm going to be I don't know if it's a flip a coin situation, but I'm going to have to come to a decision later today.
Yes. And then I think I know y'all also vote on first team All SEC, first team All SEC defense, that stuff this week as well, right?
Yeah, we'll be voting on that as well.
So I think, off the top of my head, probably won't have any Gators on the first teams. If any, might be Jason Marshall Jr., the corner. I think he's outstanding. Do you think any of the Gators make first team All SEC defense?
Yeah, Jr. would be the only one I think that would have a shot. Maybe Shamar James. When you consider the linebackers, but I think Shamar will be on second or third team. I mean, I think he's another guy that's poised to have a big year. Ricky, we'll see about, I think the problem is that Etienne and Montrell Johnson just cancel each other out with the fact that Napier runs a split backfield. But if you look at them combined and you compare their numbers to Quinshon Judkins, I mean, it's pretty similar. The number of yards that they both amass. So if you combine them into one player, I mean, that's an all SEC worthy back. So, I mean, they're fifth in the SEC in rushing last year, Shane. I mean, I don't think that's, here's another interesting storyline and from media days is a lot of these head coaches in the SEC are giving up play calling. Hugh Freeze, Kiffin, and I'm curious about Billy. Billy might be the last one standing, and some people say, well, you need the bandwidth to do other things. I don't know, Shane, as someone that, you have experience, obviously, in quarterback rooms and in the NFL and in college. Is that overblown or no? Or what are your thoughts?
Well, here's where I come from that. The reason Hugh Freeze is a head coach in the Southeastern Conference, the reason Billy Napier is the head coach at Louisiana, the reason Jimbo has been a head coach everywhere, the reason Steve Spurrier was hired is because they call plays. And it's amazing to me that how you got the job, you're going to turn it over to somebody that is learning and has never been a head coach. Then now you can be a great play caller and not be the head coach, but what I'm saying is that's what got them where they are today. And so, Coach Spurrier, I think it was at South Carolina for a few games. He let Bubba and G.A. Mangus call a few plays, but that only lasts like a game or two because that's what he's done his whole life. I still have a hard time believing Hugh Freeze, whoever's supposedly calling the plays or is titled the offensive coordinator, ain't going to be calling the plays, in my opinion. I think it's going to be Hugh Freeze. Now, Jimbo, I think, did a smart job. I think Jimbo's a good offensive coordinator. I mean, I think he calls good plays. But the guy he hired is phenomenal. Bobby Petrino can dial him up. So, long answer to your question. I just think whenever that's what got you where you are today, you need to keep doing it. You may tweak some things here and there. But anyway, that's my question. All right, real quick, on the Titan Our text line, Brandon, his text is very, very long, and I'm going to shorten it.
Okay.
But it's basically, he says Shane keeps harping on the best players on the Gators team last year were Billy Napier guys that he brought in. And so basically the reason I'm all in on Billy, and I think they're going to be so much better this year, because all the players that he was responsible for bringing to the University of Florida were the best players on the roster last year. Now he's added to it. So that's why I think they're going to be a much improved team. The question from Brandon is, would you agree or disagree with my assessment on that? What's your opinion about that?
Yeah, 100% agree. I think that when you look at the roster and you look at it, and I mean, how many Mullen guys are really left? I mean, Princely, maybe, right? Kingsley, there are a few here and there that are good contributors, you know, from the Mullen era. But by and large, I mean, this is his team, and you can't underestimate the fact of buy-in too with your guys. I mean, your guys are going to buy into the system more than the previous guys, and I think that will show in execution. You know, it may show in effort as well. You know, particularly if the season, you know, continues to go well. I mean, I think last year, you know, and Brian Kelly talked about that at length at LSU about, you know, when they got blown out by Tennessee, and their team could have folded because they were a bunch of, you know, holdovers and could not have bought into the system, but they did. And, you know, on the Florida side, you know, it's interesting, you know, in terms of, you know, where the buy-in was last year, particularly, you know, when things went south a little bit. So I think that, you know, the more players that you have that you bring in, I think there's a better chance of buy-in across the board.
All right, one more text here on the Titan Mark text line from Greg. He wants your thoughts on this class of 2024 that Napier has put together. Obviously, they got the flip last night from the wide receiver that was committed to Florida State. It's crazy how well they're doing.
You know, and he's doing it on the line of scrimmage too, Shane, which I think is how you build it, right? I mean, it's, you know, you look at the offensive line, the defensive line, you know, the edge rusher, Waller, and you know, the linebackers that they're bringing in. It's you know, it's really solid, and that's where you have to build the depth, I think, you know, particularly in the front seven, which is what we've been harping on. You know, and you need playmakers in the front seven, and you need size on the offensive line, and you need athleticism on the offensive line. And it's such a line of scrimmage league. And, you know, the difference in the SEC, I say often in the Big Ten, is, you know, the SEC, you have those, you know, 300-pound guys that move like ballerinas, that have the footwork, you know, that you don't have in the Big Ten. They're just kind of plodding guys. And it's just so competitive in that regard. And you need to get those athletes up front to make everything happen. And I think that's what I think, you know, I think Billy and his staff, you know, to their credit, they've done a tremendous job. I mean, the only problem is, you know, fans are going to have to be patient because, you know, as good as those stars are, you know, the majority of them need time to develop. And you hope that happens, and you hope that in year 3 and in year 4, it starts to turn.
Yep. All right. Last question for you, basketball related. You're a hoops guy. I think it's Saturday at Santa Fe College, the Gatorverse team that's playing in the TBT, the basketball tournament, for $1 million, former Gators. I'm excited because I watched this tournament during the summer. You going to go out there and check it out?
Oh yeah, no, I would love to, and it would be fun. I hope Corey Brewer's there because it'd be fun to catch up with him. And you know, Corey's a great guy. Corey used to do a camp at Santa Fe every year, so I think that
well, he's going to be there because they only got like 3 days of practice and they go play. So he should be at this because this is one of their tune-ups before they go play. So I think the entire team will be there. Yeah.
So it'll be fun to go there and to catch up. And you look at that roster and you look at, you know, Torian and Lee. You've got 3/5 of the 06-07 team, and you know, Horford's still playing in the Celtics. I don't know where Noah is, but it would be definitely fun to catch up with those guys. And look, they may have a good shot, and they've got some younger guys. They got Igor and Kevon Allen is on that team. So
I think they got Fleming, and Myron Jones. I think are all
Myron
on the team.
Jones is on that team too, and Keystone. So you've got some 20-somethings on that team too. So I think it's a good mix, and have them go out, and maybe they'll win the $1 million.
Yeah, it'd be very cool. Hey, we appreciate your time. Hopefully you win $1 million somewhere in Nashville tonight singing karaoke. Have a good time, Kevin. We appreciate you getting up and joining our program, buddy.
All right. Thank you, Shane. Bye.
Silverback Concrete is a family-led team of heavy concrete specialists that build commercial structures with unrivaled quality. That's going to be a wrap for today's program. It's going to be a short version. I got to get to a meeting, but we appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate JC, who's probably going to shoot about 85 today, I would guess. And we appreciate Kevin Brockway from the Gainesville Sun joining our program. Have a great day, folks. We'll recap all of Billy Napier's comments and other things on tomorrow's program. Have a great day. Take care. See you then. Take care.